everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my doll room. Today I'm starting to do reviews on the Disney Fairytale Designer Collection, which was a collection that ran for a few years from the Disney Store from around 2013 to around 2017. And of course I have to start with the first princess in the lineup, which is always going to be Snow White. So I'm going to be taking a look at these. First we're going to look at the artwork, then we're going to look at the dolls, and then the mug and the journal. So stay tuned as we look at all of this and of course the fairest of them all. Alrighty, so here is the artwork for Snow White and the Prince in this set. This set is based on true love, so there is a set of each princess and their love interest. So this set was released in 2013, and then the others were released in 2014. So they broke this up over 2 years. So the first set there were 5, the second set there were another 5, and then Anna and Kristoff were a bonus. So it goes all the way from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to Anna and Kristoff from Frozen. So this concluded in 2015 whenever they merged it into the villain line, but more on that later. Here we'll look at Snow White and the Prince. There's actually a gold version of this. You might see it hiding there in the background that I'm going to take a look at later. But this is the regular release. So up here it says Disney Fairytale Designer Collection, and it's just very intricate and very beautiful. It has a lot of elegant like patterns and swirls and print. And Snow White and the Prince just look like they are so in love. The Prince is looking at her like he just found the love of his life, which that's how he acts in the film. So he's staying true to character. But Snow White has a beautiful dress on that is of course based on her dress in the film, and her hair is more interesting here because they have taken it and given her like a side braid instead of her usual updo kind of 30s hairstyle. So it's very fairy tale-esque. She has a high white collar, red and blue sleeves with little gold embroideries on the bottom, a blue bodice with gold embroideries on it. She has a gold skirt that has beautiful embroideries of flowers, of the forest, of just flora and fauna. It's just beautiful. Underneath her skirt is a pretty lacy underlayer where it just gives it more volume. The prince's outfit is also based on his outfit from the film. He has white sleeves and a blue tunic, and of course a red cape that has lining on it, and there's a crest holding it around his chest. He has blue eyes, and he's just staring mesmerizingly at Snow White. He also has a sword, and there are also boots, but we'll get to take a look at more of that in just a minute. The bottom of the box is black and gold, and it just looks very fancy and elegant. And there it says Snow White and the Prince. Here is the side of the box. It says Snow White and the Prince up there again, Disney Store exclusive, and framed around them is apples. So that's really cute because of course Snow White has a special relationship with apples. So they have kind of an apple motif. The top of the box says Snow White and the Prince also. And then there is the Disney Fairytale Designer Collection logo from the Disney Store. Alright, so here we have our dolls. And I think I forgot to mention that this artwork is also done by Steve Thompson, who done the other designer collections I've already covered. And here he just takes his skills and I think excels even more. And just wait because there's so many gorgeous dolls in this set. This is just the first one I'm showing you. So Snow White and the Prince are positioned very romantically in the box. Down on that plaque it says Snow White and the Prince. And it's funny because the prince really doesn't have a name in Snow White's movie. Snow White's prince is usually just called the prince. But I have heard some people call him Prince Florian. I don't know if that's like an official name or like a fan name, but I've gotten used to kind of calling him that too. So, and it makes sense for maybe their area. He just looks like a Florian. So let's start with Snow White. So I believe this is the face sculpt of Snow White that they had at the time. And she has on beautiful makeup. She has red lips, brown eyeshadow, and her eyes are brown. And her eyelashes, of course, are rooted and they are cut to where they look very designer. So her hair, instead of that updo, usually she has this side braid, and it really reminds me of like Snow White from the ABC Once Upon a Time TV show. So maybe they were taking some inspiration from that, or they just wanted to give her something different. Her red bow here is positioned on the side of her head to give it a more different flair. This collar that she has is like a white lace, and it's so pretty. Down here is her torso. So there's gold embroidery there that has been sewn in, and it has little gems also mixed within it, and it just makes it look so fancy. And the blue fabric that this is printed on is very nice, and it encompasses her sleeves and her bodice. The red bits on her sleeves are made by red ribbons, and down at the bottom of that is like a gold black lace, so it's just very elegant, and of course that happens on both sides. She has a gold bow there in the middle with little thread. As you go down, see how her bodice is lined there? It's just so exquisite. Here is her skirt, and on camera it's showing a little pale, but in person it's more of like a goldenrod color. I don't know why my camera is making it look that color, but with my eyes it looks more goldenrod. She has little flowers mixed throughout that have little embroideries and little gems on it. And as you make your way down, the more intricate it gets. But you can follow it all the way around the whole gown. So here is this side piece of embroidery, and then here is this middle piece of embroidery, and it just reminds me of like the forest and flowers, and like that might even be like a little apple there in the middle. It's interesting that they give Snow White an apple for like her motif always, because apple is the thing that almost killed her, so I think that they just try to trigger her PTSD, you know? But it's so beautiful. Wow. So it reminds me of like the forest, of the meadow, of where she would spend a lot of her time. Just beautiful. Down here at the bottom, well, if you can see, there is a lace underneath her dress, and it's really pretty. There's more poking out here, and it looks like flowers. So this is the prince, and I always thought that his skin tone looked interesting here, that he really didn't look this tan in the film, but I'm thinking that since Snow White is so pale and he's not, so maybe that's what it is. But anywho, he looks very handsome. He has blue eyes, and he doesn't have any makeup on, brown eyebrows, and his hair is molded on, and a lot of the male dolls are like that because I think it would have been really difficult for them to really capture like their hair with like gel and stuff, I mean, on this small scale. So to me it looks very, very nice. He has that tunic on that looks kind of like a leather collar, or leather fabric, but it's a blue collar, and it has a belt around the front that has embroidery on it. And you really wouldn't see this unless if you like really looked up close, because you know Snow White is the star of the show. He has a white shirt on underneath, and of course it's all real removable clothes. So all these fashions are, you know, fabrics. He has a beautiful shiny red cape that goes all the way down, and it is pinned down here so that it stays in its place forever. And it has like a gold lining like on it. It's so nice. So it's very fairy tale, very romantic. This makes you think of like storybook adventures, or you know, swashbuckling and saving the princess. So here is his sword, and it's really interesting because his sword actually has the evil queen's crown on it there. So maybe he's somehow a part of her kingdom now or something. I'm not sure, but maybe that was just a little detail that they put in there. He has on boots, and I'll flip the case around here so we can get a better look at his boots, because on this side his cape is kind of blocking it. Alright, so there's his boots, and they really look like they've been worn. Well, they're painted like they've been worn, but of course they've never been really worn. And then there's more of Snow White's embroidery that you can see. But truly, you can see that Snow White is the standout of the two. He's just kind of there with her. Here's the back of their box. It says Disney Fairytale Designer Collection. Snow White and the Prince, Disney Store exclusive. There is their artwork. And then, of course, here is the certificate of authenticity, and it talks about wanting to keep this doll forever as a keepsake. And I have number 2636 of 6,000. And I received this doll not on release because at that time I couldn't afford to buy all of the set. So I bought her probably like 3 years after she came out for about $200. Snow White and the Prince weren't really that expensive at that point, but they may be now. The D23 version of this is definitely more expensive. Alright, so here's the mug that came with the doll, and the Disney Store used to create artwork for the Disney designer collections, and these pieces were just so exquisite and so beautiful, and they're really hard to find now. And you'll find a lot of these like from appraisers or like antique dealers, you know, so these are kind of more a part of like the Disney antique market. And honestly, the dolls kind of are too now because they're becoming rare and harder to find. So it's like a cream color, which was interesting. I don't know why they didn't make it blue like the slipcover, but it shows off a beautiful display of Snow White and her prince, and then it has like pretty like embossing on it. It's so nice. Whenever this came out, this was $12.95, so the Disney Store mugs have gone up a lot since. On the other side, it just has a different view of them. And of course, I have never used this mug. I don't think I ever will because it's a very rare piece and too expensive to use. Just something that's very pretty that I like to look with the doll. I also have the journal. So they also release journals alongside of the mugs that match, and they're just so pretty. They have such exquisite artwork and details on it. The only thing you have to watch with these is that this gold stuff on the side, it gets a little sensitive, and some of mine have kind of faded and kind of cracked up a little bit on the sides since I bought them, and I haven't even used them, so I think that's just age, but I try to keep them as pristine as possible, and I try to take care of everything very well. Down here there's like a little bookmarker that has a D for the Disney Fairytale Designer Collection and has a red ribbon. So all of them have that, and they all have different colors. Okay everyone, that's all I have to show you here of this beautiful doll set from the Disney Fairytale Designer Collection. Let me know what you think, and I'm going to make more videos of this set, so stay tuned. I have many more to go through, as some of you fans might already know. There's so many in this collection, so we have plenty of beautiful things to look at. Well, thank you guys for watching. Have a magical day. See you guys next time. Bye!